Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into the Fake Spike Podcast with Tyler and Cole. That's Tyler.
What's up?
I'm Cole. And, we got some interesting stuff that happened in the NFL this week.
Yes, I'm playing a little bit of catch up due to some personal stuff, but I'm very interested. And some good shit happened, buddy. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So, do you want to do topics first, or do you want to hit topics as we go through games?
What topics do we have?
Well, Saquon Barkley is going to be missing 3 weeks minimum with an ankle injury. At least
Fuck
that's what
me.
I said. Oh, do you on one of your fantasy teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same team I have CMC on, so I'm not doing too bad, but fuck.
All right. So,
That's fine.
Tyler, sad about that. Just got that notification a couple hours ago. We do record these on Monday before the night game starts. So we're missing any information about the New Orleans Carolina game and the Cleveland and Pittsburgh game.
Yes.
All right. So other than that, Anthony Richardson went out with a concussion. He should be fine. Uh, Other notable injuries, I, I'm not thinking of anything. How about you? Can you think of any notable injuries?
With J.K. Dobbins went out last week. We talked about that. No, not really.
All right. So I think it's time for a couple teams to hit the panic button, like the Chargers and the Bengals.
How many I know we talked about a pre-podcast, but just for the podcast, how many teams are 0-2, you said?
We got New England, Cincinnati, Houston, Denver, the Chargers, Minnesota, Chicago, and Arizona. So we have 8 so far. If Carolina and Pittsburgh both lose tonight, then we will be up to 10 teams that are 0-2.
Jesus.
That's a lot of teams right there now. Now,
That's a ton of teams.
Arizona and Chicago, let's be honest, I don't think they really had much playoff hopes to begin the season with. What
Yeah,
about you?
that's fair. That's fair. Arizona, you said Arizona, Chicago?
Yeah,
Well, on that note, I don't think the Panthers do either. There's a couple teams that I feel like kind of on the bottom of
right.
the barrel, so to say. I think the Panthers are going to finish this week 0-2. Obviously, I have
And
a preference there, but I think they're going to struggle pretty much the whole season. I think they're one of those teams.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. They're not the greatest team on paper. They need some more help. They have good draft picks. So, well, no, they traded their good draft picks. My bad. So yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
moving. We got Houston. Houston doesn't really have any playoff hopes anyway. Denver. Okay, let's be honest. They got kind of screwed at the end of that game. Hail Mary bounces off like three guys' helmets, catches the touchdown in the end zone. So, holy
What?
crap, they're going to tie it. So they go for the 2-point conversion, and there was pass interference for freaking days, and the refs didn't throw the flag. So I'm not saying they would have made it on their next attempt either, but they got screwed on that. But it might be a little bit of panic time for Denver with how last season went, what they traded for Russell Wilson, what they're paying Russell Wilson. And all right, it's Nathaniel Hackett's fault. Get him the hell out of here. All right, do that. Bring in Sean Payton, and they're 0-2. So that's a little worrisome. Wouldn't you say?
I think it's time to start reevaluating some shit.
Chargers are also 0-2. They've had close games. The games have been good, but they're 0-2, so that's not good. Uh, Minnesota. Minnesota made the playoffs last year. They had a really good record, but all of their wins were like by 3 points or something really small. In fact, I'm pretty sure their net points was in the negative when they went into the playoffs when the season was over. I think it was like -3 or something like that.
Jesus.
So I'd be worried if I was them. I mean, in that division, every the Chicago Bears are 0-2. We already talked about them. The Vikings are 0-2. But Lions and Packers, they're both 1-1. So it's not anything they
Horrible.
can but I'd be a little worried about making a wild card spot right now.
That's kind
And
of far out too.
right. New England, they're in a tough division. And like Mac Jones looked pretty good week 1. Week 2, not so much. He looked pretty human, I guess you would say. I don't know. Like he didn't look great. All right. And Cincinnati, what the hell is happening?
I was trying to figure out the same fucking thing. So I have it popped up here. Burrow. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Threw an interception, went 27 of 41, which like percentage wise is horrible, but it was for 5.5 yards per attempt.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He was just struggling.
Like, if I remember correctly, they didn't score. Like they scored a field goal in the first half, and then they didn't score anything else in the first half. If I'm remembering that correctly.
He
So
had, go ahead, I'm sorry.
you go ahead, man.
He had 200 plus yards, so it's not even like he played bad. I don't know what the fuck he's doing though.
Right. Do you have the score breakdown from that game?
I could get it.
All right. So week 1, Cincinnati really bad. Week 2, they put up a good fight against the Ravens in the second half there, but it was a little too close for comfort. And I'm highly concerned about the Chargers, whose head coach I am not a fan of. I don't like him at all. But yeah, him. No, the Chargers and Cincinnati are both paying their quarterbacks a lot of freaking money right now. The other and Denver, but Denver's
You said Cincinnati did what?
I think they scored 3 points in the first half.
They scored 10. They got a
They
touchdown in the second. But nothing in the first quarter and 7-7 in the third and fourth.
all right, that touchdown. I'm if I'm remembering correctly, it was a punt return. I'm pretty sure it was a punt return.
Okay. Yeah, 81-yard punt return by Charlie Jones.
There we go.
Damn.
So,
Good for him.
oh, that's right. Burrow is also a little injured.
What's wrong, bro?
I think his hamstring. I think that's what they said it was. It was leg region. I'll tell you that much. And it's possible that he will be missing the Monday night game next week. But as for what I was saying about Cincinnati and the Chargers, they're both paying their quarterbacks a good amount of money. They're both expected a lot of the season. Denver, I don't think there was as high expectations because of what happened last year. But here's the stat for you. Since 1990, 31 teams have started 0-2.
Okay.
270, yeah, no, I said that backwards. Since 1990, 270 teams have started 0-2, and 31 have made the playoffs. So,
Not looking too hot.
no, not looking too hot at all. Teams starting off 0-2 have an 11.5% chance of making the playoffs. So it might be time for Cincinnati or Los Angeles to start hitting the panic alarm. Maybe we'll get lucky and the Chargers will fire Brandon Staley because guy's not the greatest coach in the world. But Cincinnati, they still have hope because last season they started 0-2 and they still made the playoffs. They made the AFC Championship game, if I'm correct. But yeah, I'd be a little bit worried, especially if Burrow doesn't play Monday night.
Yeah, if he's out, then they're going to really. I mean, they're not doing crazy great with him, but they're going to really struggle if he's out.
Right. Other than that, I don't really have anything
Topic wise,
topic wise. We can just start diving into the games if you'd like.
sounds like a plan, buddy.
All right. So Thursday night football, we had Minnesota headed to Philly to take on the Eagles, and both Tyler and I took Minnesota plus the points. The point spread was 7, and they lost by 6. So technically, Tyler and I were right there. Trying to find the scores. Hang on.
That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know. Fucking Eagles. Let me pull it up on Google. Eagles Vikings. When was never mind. I'll fucking look at that. They won 34-28. Vikings didn't score in the first. Eagles scored a bunch. Jalen Hurts was 193 yards, one interception, one touchdown. Kirk Cousins fucking 31 and 44 for 360 plus yards with 4 touchdowns. He that's pretty fucking good, you know what I mean?
Not bad at all for primetime Kirk.
No, that's I mean that we both discussed that being like a little bit of an issue for him. So I'm glad it ended up not being an issue.
Right. Then we had Kansas City going to Jacksonville. And all right, so Kansas City went to Jacksonville. Kansas City didn't start out too hot. They had like 3 points up until the last couple minutes of the second quarter. And then they got a touchdown by Travis Kelce, I believe, who decided to boot the ball into the stands. He's going to be fined for that one.
He did what? I'm sorry.
When he scored the touchdown, he punted the football into the stands.
Oh, fucking fuck.
So he'll be getting a nice little fine for that one. No
Yeah.
big. And the commentator made a freak. There's a rumor going on that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are hanging out. So when he caught that touchdown, the announcer made a Taylor Swift joke.
Jesus. I fucking back to the game, I guess. It's nice to see Pat Mahomes kind of coming back a little bit.
All right. Well, he had a safety blanket. He had Kelce out there.
Yeah. Not sure what happened to Trevor Lawrence this week. I mean, he didn't play bad. 216 yards. 5.5 yards per attempt. Got sacked. He got sacked 4 fucking times.
Right. I believe ETN got hurt too, but I'm not sure as to what happened to him.
Travis Etienne. What's going on with you? I'll try to find some information on that for us here.
So, long story short, the Chiefs ended up winning that game 17-9. Jaguars couldn't get into the end zone. It happens.
A cramp.
A cramp.
Yeah. Suffered I'm looking at it right now. Jaguars, yeah. Hold up. You ever see the fucking thing in like the preview on Google and then you click on the article and it's not there whatsoever?
Yeah,
I
that's the word.
can't stand that shit. I'll have to find something.
Chris Jones made his return known. He had 1.5 tackles or 1.5 sacks, my bad. 1 tackle and 1 assisted tackle. So made a little bit of noise.
Good. What do we got next, buddy?
We got Baltimore and Cincinnati. We already kind of touched on what's going on with Cincinnati, but Baltimore didn't look too bad without J.K. Dobbins.
No, they're playing. I mean, obviously they won, so that's good. But
Right.
they're not
Odell
playing bad.
Odell went out with like an ankle injury. They said fine, he'll probably play next week. But Lamar definitely held on to the ball better this week. Seeing him running with the ball tucked instead of freaking out here like he's trying to dunk it. But yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, 237 passing yards. Gus Edwards carried the ball 10 times, 62 yards and touchdown.
I saw Zay Flowers played well.
Everybody everybody needs to pay attention to this part because I'm not sure the next time I'll be able to say this. Nelson Aguilar scored a touchdown. He doesn't do that very often.
I could tell by the way you said it.
Yeah. um, Baltimore looks good, and if Cincinnati doesn't wake up and Pittsburgh continues to look like they did last week, again, this is before the Monday night game. They're most certainly winning that division because I think they're head and shoulders above the Browns.
Fair enough.
You got anything else to say on this one?
No,
All right.
not that I could think of.
All right. Seattle went to Detroit and won in overtime.
Seattle went to Detroit, won in overtime. You said?
Yes, sir.
Where the fuck are my notes? I put my notes on my computer this time, and now I can't fucking find them. Seattle, Detroit, overtime. Tell me a little bit about the game while I look for my shit.
Uh,
Oh, Geno Smith. I found it. I'm sorry. I'm just stupid. It's been a long day. Um, Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns, 330 yards. Jared Goff, though, also 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kenneth Walker, I know that was huge for my fantasy team. He played very well. I was a fan of that.
yeah, Ken Walker had a pretty good game. Well, touchdown wise, he only ran for 43 yards, but oh well.
2 touchdowns. It's good fantasy points.
Yeah. DK Metcalf,
Metcalf.
He did go out at one point, but I'm pretty sure he returned. I was down at my mom's house, and her husband has Sunday ticket, so we were watching the quad box. There's 4 games going on at once, so it's hard to keep track of.
That's got to be fucking horrible.
Oh, and to make it even better, he had a second TV with another quad box, so there was 8 games going on.
Good luck. God bless, buddy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure DK did return. He had a pretty good day, 6 receptions, 75 yards. He didn't find his way to the end zone, but still a pretty good game. They won, so. Let's see here. Yep. What the hell? All right. Anyway,
What game's next?
what games next? We got Indianapolis and Houston. Richardson left this one early with a concussion, and honestly, I think the Colts won.
Colts won 31-20. Yeah. So Anthony Richardson scored 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. As soon as he crossed the goal line, took a bad mean shot, smacked his head off the ground, concussion, all that fun shit.
Right.
All fun shit. I'm reading Colts defense had some good work there. I'm pulling up some of the stats here. Gardner Minshew didn't actually play bad at all.
No, actually.
19 for 23, which is solid, 171 yards. CJ Stroud threw for 384, which is also pretty impressive, but he was sacked 6 fucking times. So the Colts defense kind of had their way with CJ Stroud anyways.
Nico freaking Collins, man. He was on my bench. I'm like, you SOB. I didn't expect to start you at all. 7 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, he played very well. Tank Dell was one of the other ones that scored a touchdown. On the other side for the Colts, you had Mike Pittman Jr., Zach Moss, played very well. Kylan Granson, don't know who the fuck that guy is, scored a touchdown. A lot of the Texans had a large list of people that contributed to at least the receiving game.
Right.
And even rushing, like the Colts had three people that contributed to the rushing game. The Texans ran it through five different people. Now, not like Andrew Beck had 2 carries for 2 yards, so it's not like a ton, but having those snaps is a big deal.
All right. Next up we have Chicago and Tampa Bay.
Chicago, Tampa Bay.
Mike Evans went off. I don't think he's going to have a problem continuing his streak of 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, he had what freaking he had 171 yards in this game.
Right. Justin Fields played well. Baker Mayfield played well. DJ Moore, though he didn't land a touchdown, went for 104 yards for the Bears. So that's solid. You did mention Mike Evans. That is an insane stat line. Targeted 8 times, received for 6, which is like fucking crazy good percentage. Chris Godwin, Rashad White, all good.
I think Rashad White looked pretty good in that game.
30 yards, not a ton of yardage, but 5 for 5 target versus reception.
He
Got
rushed
it.
for
What's that?
he rushed for 73.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking at receiving yards.
So 100 some all-purpose yards. So that's a pretty good game.
Yeah, that's good. He definitely. I mean, the stuff I'm looking at for the stat line show fantasy, obviously it's different, but he definitely produced fantasy wise. Let's see, Justin Fields. So Tampa Bay's defense destroyed. Justin Fields got sacked 6 fucking times. I was it like this last year, or did I like because I was new, obviously, more so than I am now last year. Were there this many sacks? Like every game, I feel like we're talking about like people have 4, 5, 6 sacks. Maybe it's because of the beginning of the season, but
I don't think it was this bad before. Honestly, it seems like the offensive lines just keep getting worse and defensive lines just keep getting better. That's the way it is in college right now, so I'm going to guess it's not going to change anytime soon.
no, especially if that's the talent that's coming out, you know.
Right. Next up, we have Green Bay heading to Atlanta.
Green Bay to Atlanta. Got it.
Oh man, the did you see the memes from this game?
Dude, I honestly was so out of touch this past weekend. So it was rough for me.
Jordan Love went to they went to fake a snap, trying to get the other team to jump off sides. And I don't know if he thought they were going for it or if he fell down or what the deal was, but he rushes up to the center and he acts like he's gonna take the snap, and then he like falls to the side in between his center and his guard, like just
Huh?
yeah. So I don't know if he thought he was getting the snap or if he just fell down. I don't know what it was. It was hilarious though.
Fair enough. On that note, looking at the box score, Jordan Love for 151, Desmond Ritter for 237. Both of them were sacked one time. Um, Rushing yards, AJ Dillon for the Packers kind of carried it there. Bijan Robinson,
Bijan.
Bijan, Dijon
Uh,
Mustard,
you're right. Um,
124 yards.
Aaron Jones was out in this one, so I think the Packers might have won if they had him. Christian Watson was out again, so he hasn't played yet this season. But Aaron Jones is a much better running back, in my opinion, than AJ Dillon is. So could he have swayed this game? Possibly. I'm honestly kind of impressed with how good Green Bay is playing so far.
I mean, even with the small losses.
Right.
They're showing up.
Drake London got a touchdown this week.
Good for him. I don't
Everybody
fucking.
about him last week. A bunch of people dropped him in like fantasy games and all that stuff.
I believe I have him in one of my leagues. I just can't remember which one. But I'm fairly positive in both leagues he sits the bench.
Right. Las Vegas and Buffalo. Buffalo kind of kicked Las Vegas's face in.
Oh, I did start Drake London this week. I'm sorry, I had to focus on that. What was that?
Buffalo kicked Las Vegas's face in.
Buffalo and Las Vegas.
30.
38-10. Sorry for cutting you off there.
You're good, brother. James
Las-
Cook ass off for 123 yards. Um, I'm sorry. I'm laughing because the Raiders' leading rusher is Trey Tucker, who had 1 carry for 34 yards.
Listen, buddy, when you got it, you got it, you know?
Josh Allen passed for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty good game from him. Gabe Davis actually outperformed Stephon Diggs. That's no, that's the wrong team. Hang on. I'm fighting over here. Hang on.
You're good. Josh Allen for 274. You talked about that for rush yards. You got James Cook at 123 for the receiving end. Gabe Davis hit 92. Stephon Diggs with 30 and 66 on the other side for receiving or rushing. Not for receiving. Devontae Adams for 84. Josh Jacobs for 51.
Josh,
Rushing side, Trey
51.
Tucker, obviously. What's that?
Oh, that's receiving. Okay. Josh Jacobs has 9 carries for -2 yards. Rushing.
Yeah, I do see that.
Not a great day by him.
No.
Sucks that they franchise tag him and paid him a crap ton of money, and now he's sucking. But he went off last year, so I don't blame him for doing it. It's just biting them in the ass now.
They got to
No,
get it back together.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Josh Jacobs had a good game last week, but 9 carries for -2 yards is just unacceptable.
Yeah, it's a rough little fucking day for him.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Um, Honestly, Buffalo looked pretty damn good in this game again. So I'm not worried about Buffalo anymore. I think they'll do just fine. Los Angeles Chargers and the Tennessee Titans.
Rodgers, Titans. Okay. Tennessee won 27-24. Let's see who stood out. Herbert with 305, Tannehill with 246. Dude, the sacks are outrageous. I know I mentioned this to everybody, but Herbert was sacked 3 times, Tannehill sacked for 5. Yeah, I think you're right. The O-line just sucks. 6 people tallied fucking carries for the Chargers. I think it's quite a bit compared to 3 for the Titans.
Right, yeah. Derrick Henry was carrying that freaking rock a lot. 25 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Joshua Kelly did most of the carries for the Chargers this week. But Austin Eckler was hurt. Maybe he'll be back week and
take it to a different direction.
Right. Anyway. Long story short, we already freaking talked a little bit about the Chargers and panicking because they're 0-2 and how 0-2 teams do.
Yeah, 11%, buddy.
So next up, we have San Francisco and the Los Angeles Rams.
10 minutes, by the way.
All right.
San Fran keeps their little winning streak here. I believe they're 2-0.
I think they've won 11 straight regular games or something crazy like that.
They are crazy fucking good. They have been They were good last year. The Christian McCaffrey trade did put them over a little bit. I'm a huge Christian McCaffrey fanboy. It's well documented, but um, no, their players played well. Obviously, CMC for 116 played very well on the rushing side for the Rams. Kyron Williams had 52, and that was about it. Matt Stafford for the Rams threw for 300, sacked one time. Brock Purdy got sacked one time, threw for 206. Who stood out on the receiving end? Deebo Samuel went for 63.
Brandon Ayuk hurt for a portion of that game, and my opponent in one of my leagues had Deebo Samuel. I had Ayuk, so no, I got screwed over. Anyway,
For the
uh,
Rams, you had Puka Nakua,
yeah, that's how you say it.
147.
Dude's a freaking beast.
Him and Tutu Atwell were the people we discussed on the first week of the podcast. Both of them combined, total yardage between the two of them was 200. Shit, I just did the math real quick. 224 yards.
Dude, Kyron Williams is doing pretty good too. He had 6 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah,
Yard isn't insane or anything, but 6 receptions for a running back, that's saying that the coach trusts you.
yeah, you could be a legitimate target.
If if Cooper Cup comes back, I think this is going to be actually a pretty good offense.
I
It's
think
kind of
they're developing the options. It's definitely Cup, Puka, Tutu for
it sounds like a freaking password or something.
it does. Definitely that order as far as your receiving game goes, but they're crazy good. And then you gotta consider like we just talked about Kyron Williams, pretty good. I know Tyler Higbee is a tight end, but it's a good option, right? Because he went for 12 yards, which isn't crazy good, but it's short routes for them. So they have a lot of good options offensively, as long as Matt Stafford can kind of keep up with it a little bit. And
I
he's
didn't
playing well, so
I didn't think the Rams were going to be very good this season. Through the first 2 games, they're doing pretty good. So I'm pretty impressed.
he did throw two interceptions though, so that's not too hot.
Right. Um, let's see here. Next up, we have the Giants and Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, so we discussed this. Thought the Giants were about to get dick slapped.
Dude, they came out of the freaking they came out of halftime pissed off. Like they were down. They lost 40-0 week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Halftime was 20-0 against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, who a lot of people think are going to be picking in the top 5, top 3 probably. So getting slapped around by the Arizona Cardinals and Josh Dobbs,
Not
not
a
a
good
good
look.
But they came out of the halftime pissed off. They scored 14 in the third, 17 in the fourth, and ended up winning this game 31-28.
Yeah, it's surprising. I think as far as the Giants go, I'm looking at the stats right now. Daniel Jones for 321, 3 sacks, 1 interception. So not the greatest performance. I mean, 321 yards is a fucking lot of yards though. The O line we talked about this 3 times already. The O line for every fucking team needs work.
Right.
Talked about Saquon being injured, breaks my heart. 63 yards. Josh Dobbs carried for 41 himself. With that said, James Conner, who I am unfamiliar with, but now I'm going to get familiar with.
James
106 yards.
Conner was a Pittsburgh Steelers running back for quite a few years. He was pretty good for us.
He went to
He
college in Pittsburgh.
he went to the University of Pitt. He's from Lake Erie.
Beast. He's a beast.
He's pretty good, man.
And then on the receiving side of things for the Giants, we had Jalen Hyatt for pretty much 90 yards, 89 yards. For the Cardinals, what's that?
He only had 2 receptions though, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely fucking insane. For the Cardinals, we had 2 people tied for 56, Mike Wilson and Zach Ertz.
Right. Not too much to say about the Cardinals.
No,
They
James Conner's a beast.
The Cardinals might be good when Kyler Murray comes back, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Josh
No,
Dobbs not that guy.
no. He was the quarterback like 4 or 3 for Pittsburgh for years, and he's a smart guy, but he's not gifted like that, unfortunately for him.
Fair enough.
Did himself a pretty good game, 6 receptions, 76 yards. Um, and you know what? The Giants get for winning this game
What's that?
an injured Saquon, and they get to go to I don't know who's home and who's away, but injured Saquon, and they get to play the 49ers on Thursday.
I believe it's at the 49. It is.
No, well, here you go. You can beat Arizona now.
Go get slapped again.
Head on over to San Fran and try not to die.
3 minutes.
All right. New York Jets and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. How about them? I mean, obviously the
Okay.
I'm saying cowgirls all day, so I almost slipped up and said it again. Obviously the Cowboys are going to win this one. At least that was my impression when I saw the lineup.
Right.
Just defensively.
Zach Wilson threw 3 interceptions, a touchdown, 170 yards. It's a bad day for him. Dallas' defense is really freaking good, but
Phenomenal.
what I expect from Zach Wilson. Garrett Wilson had 2 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown.
TV Lamb.
Freaking 8, man.
Absolutely destroyed people.
11 receptions for 143 yards. That's a damn good day.
It's a shame he didn't land a touchdown in any of those.
Right.
And then you have people like Jake Ferguson and Luke, whatever the fuck, getting touchdowns, but on like 1 targets, 4 targets. But I mean, as long as they score, that's all that matters.
Right. Honestly, there's not too much to say about this. The Jets have a good team around Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson's very limited. It sucks Rodgers went down so early in the season. And the
There's a lot for him to learn.
Cowboys are a very good team. A very good team. Not much else to say other than that.
No, sir.
So next up, we have Washington and Denver. It was a crazy game. It really was. Sam Howell looks pretty good. Another situation where it looks like his offensive line could not protect him to save his life.
4 sacks. Not much better. Actually, significantly worse than the Broncos side. Russell Wilson got sacked 7 times.
Yikes. Russell Wilson was also their leading rusher, 6 carries, 56 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Brian Robinson fucking killed me in fantasy. 18 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I'm pretty sure he had some catches too. But
caught twice, 42 yards, which is pretty good actually.
yeah, not bad. Brian Robinson, I think, is a pretty damn good running back. He obviously has surpassed Antonio Gibson at this point.
How about Marvin Mims Jr.?
Dude, like, where did he come from?
Wide receiver who rushed for 10 yards, so not a lot, 2 carries, but 113 yards.
A lot of that seemed like it came off of 1 play, but
2 targets. That's it.
Yeah, 2 receptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Averaging 56.5 yards a catch. All right. Anyway.
Cortland Sutton with 67, Brandon Johnson with 66. Elite, the good diversity. Jerry Jeudy with 25.
I think the Broncos have a chance to turn this around and actually be a pretty good team. But it's gonna take some effort here.
Yeah. I mean, the Commanders have a good defense, so you got to factor that in too.
Right. I think the Commanders are going to be a pretty damn good team this year. From based off the first 2 weeks, uh, Eagles, Commanders, and Cowboys are all 2-0. It wouldn't surprise me if all three of those teams made the playoffs this year. Hell, I mean, if the Giants can figure some stuff out here, it might be all four teams from the NFC East going into the playoffs.
That'd be pretty insane.
That would be insane. It's really hard to do with, yeah, because you're playing those teams twice a year, each one of those teams twice a year. So
Yeah.
nuts. Anyway, we already talked about what happened at the end of that game with the Hail Mary bouncing off some people's faces,
Yeah.
catch it,
I gotta
pass
find a
it.
clip of that to watch that.
Right. When we have NFL Plus, just if you still haven't logged in, if not, I'll give it to you. Just click on that and watch the last like 2 minutes or whatever.
All right.
Yeah. And then we got the Sunday night game, which is Miami and New England.
Dude, the fucking Dolphins. So 24-17. To get that out of the way. Tua, 21 for 30 for 250 yards. What the fuck? Tyreek Hill received for 40, Jalen Waddle for 86. Let me read through this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know it's not as cool, at least in the basketball world, it's cool, but in football, I don't know how cool this is. But 6 individuals with double digit, and not just double digit, 20 plus receiving yards for the Dolphins. From my perspective, that's pretty solid considering a lot of these guys were only targeted like 3 times, only caught the ball 2 or 3 times. The Patriots did the same fucking thing, but they gave a lot more targets.
Freaking Raheem Mostert running all over everybody, 18 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, what the hell?
They had a ton of people carry the ball too.
If Tua can stay healthy this season, I think the Dolphins are going to be a pretty damn good team too.
They were insane last year, and I agree with you. Ramondre Stevenson for 50 yards for the Pats. At least on the rushing side of things, 10 on the receiving side. Juju Smith-Schuster for 28, Devontae Parker for 57. The game was very well spread out. Like it wasn't obviously it's not how it is all the time for football, but wasn't really like solely focused on a handful of your ones, your twos, you know what I mean?
Right. Anyway, so very good game on Sunday Night Football last week. Next week, probably not so much. It's Pittsburgh and the Raiders. And let's see here. Last week, not counting the 2 Monday night games, because again, we record this before the Monday night games. Tyler went 6-8 in predictions. I went 7-7. So that's Tyler on the year at what 14-16, and me at 13-17.
Hoping to even out.
Hopefully we turn the ship around and can start winning some of these, but we'll have to see on that one.
Yeah.
All right. That's all, folks.
All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you listen on an audio platform, drop us a 5-star review. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you guys are on YouTube, it's very close to 100 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button. You can get us at all social medias linked down in the description below. We're not very active on Instagram, but TikTok, YouTube, stuff like that, we're there. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.